Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and there's a lot to discuss today, man. The past couple of hours have been pure chaos. Woke up this morning, everything was normal, everything was chill, there wasn't much going on, and then out of nowhere, we released Ereck Flowers and Ioannidis, and it's been reported that we're probably going to designate Landon Collins as a post-June 1st cut, and I'll break down exactly what that means and what that does for us. But we got to talk about all of it, man. Ereck Flowers gone, Ioannidis gone, Landon Collins, we already knew he was out the door, but the way that they're gonna cut him is really interesting. Of course, Cam Sims is expected to come back, but with all of these moves, man, we must be planning to get somebody, seriously. Probably a middle linebacker or maybe a replacement, but we're gonna dive into all of that. But before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, like I've been telling y'all, I'm gonna keep y'all updated on every little thing burgundy and gold. I may even do a live stream tonight, especially if we sign a big name guy. After releasing Ereck Flowers and Ioannidis, if we go and get somebody like a Bobby Wagner, the live stream is coming up tonight. So stay tuned for all of that. And like I said, man, any updates to come out with the burgundy and gold, I got y'all covered. And without further ado, let's get it. Alright, so starting with Ioannidis, he was released officially, and that will save roughly around $7 million worth of cap space for us. That's why the move was made. And it makes sense. I mean, we already have 4 first rounders on the defensive line. You plan on paying all of them. We're going to talk about Daron Payne specifically soon. But, I mean, we already lost Tim Settle. So now we're down 2 really good depth defensive line pieces that could start elsewhere. Tim Settle should definitely start for the Bills. Wherever Ioannidis ends up going, he'll probably start there as well. But at the same time, for the way our team is constructed, should be a starter somewhere. But here, Ioannidis was not a starter, and you just can't pay a second string defensive lineman $8 million per year. Just not the way the NFL runs. Would have loved to keep him, but we're clearly making cap space for something. And remember, Ioannidis, a lot of potential, and we all love him as fans, but he missed 13 games in 2020. He only had 2.5 sacks in 16 games last year. He only played 54% of the snaps possible this past year as well. So he is technically a backup, but he did have a career high in 8.5 sacks in 2019. We thought after that season, it was just going to keep going up and up and up, but it hasn't. Whether it be because of injuries or he just wasn't a very impactful player last year like we expected, even while healthy. But after losing Settle and Ioannidis, there's no way you let Payne walk. Like, there's just no way. So I'm assuming Daron Payne will get some type of extension, at the very worst a franchise tag probably next year or something. From now to next year, something's gonna happen with Daron Payne that's gonna keep him on this team for at least another year after that. But my main thing with Ioannidis is, bro, we couldn't get like a 4th or a 5th round for this guy. Like, he's a really quality player. I thought you could possibly even get a 3rd. Now maybe you can't because of that contract, the $8 million. But man, I feel like Ioannidis, I mean, as soon as he was released, you see guys that have nothing to do with the Commanders, guys like John Ledger that are like draft analysts and pay attention to all NFL teams. All of those guys are out there tweeting like, man, somebody better hurry up and scoop him up. This is a really quality signing. If you don't know who this guy is, you're sleeping, basically. So I feel like we could have gotten something in return. But then again, Shaq Mason's out here going for 5th round pick, so I guess Ioannidis couldn't go for even a 7th, if that's what the market looks like right now. But man, I mean, it's crazy. We went from being super deep at defensive line to actually quite thin, even though I liked what I saw from James Smith-Williams at times. He was actually in there on nickel packages playing inside while Sweat and Young were on the outside. And then I also really liked what I saw from Daniel Wise at times. He didn't play a lot, but when he did, he flashed a lot. And so maybe they're confident with him moving forward between him and James Smith-Williams. And then, of course, there's a joke going around Twitter already saying that there must be some defensive tackle in the 7th round with a military background that Ron Rivera already loves and has his eyes on. And then Ereck Flowers, man. Per Adam Schefter, we are releasing Ereck Flowers, our starting left guard. We already lost our starting right guard in Brandon Sheriff to the Jaguars, so I know Carson Wentz is sad right now. I mean, we had a top 5 offensive line last season when healthy, but now your 2 starting guards are gone. So I know Carson Wentz was, fairly excited to come here after the trade. And since then, the past 72 hours, he's like, wait a minute. But with all this cap space we're clearing up, we must be getting somebody. Because when Matt Ioannidis saves you around $7 million worth of cap space, Ereck Flowers saves you $10 million worth of cap space. And I really like Ereck Flowers. I think he's a franchise left guard. And for him to only be making $10 million per year, I think that's great value there. So I'm really, really surprised by this release right here. I know we're panicking to create cap space, and if we're panicking to create cap space like this, it must be for a really good reason. We must be targeting either a direct replacement like an Andrew Norwell who's still out there, and maybe he's willing to take less money than what Ereck Flowers is getting, which I kind of doubt because Andrew Norwell is also a pretty good guard as well. But I don't know, are you just freeing up cap space to make a strong offer to a guy like Bobby Wagner? I really don't know. This is really interesting because let's look at the team. First of all, who do we have left? I guess Wes Schweitzer was naturally going to be the starting right guard after Brandon Sheriff left, even though I prefer him as our backup interior offensive lineman because he can play left guard, center, or right guard very well, as we've seen the past couple of years. Very good signing in free agency. One of them low-key, huge, great bargain deals that we've gotten since Ron Rivera's been here. Even though I question why we don't get the big names in free agency, they have done a good job of finding guys like Wes Schweitzer, Logan Thomas, Cornelius Lucas, Charles Leno, JD Mckissic, and even bringing back Ereck Flowers for cheaper than I thought we should be able to get him. But now you have Wes Schweitzer starting the right guard, so I guess Sadiq Charles is starting the left guard. I don't really see them going in with that plan. Even with as much as they love Wes Schweitzer and Sadiq Charles, I doubt those are our two starting guards going into this season. They're either going to draft guys high in the draft or they're going to figure something out in free agency with some veterans. And money-wise, I'm surprised that we didn't just extend them further to make it less of a cap hit for this season. Like, load up the contract on the back end, and also if you extend them further seasons, you can thin out the per year hit. So he could have definitely been less than $10 million per year if we extended him. So I'm just surprised that we didn't make that move. Again, with as good as Ereck Flowers is, I thought $10 million for him was good. But there's definitely a way they could have gotten that down, but apparently both sides couldn't agree on a compromise. So they just went ahead and released them. But now, saving $17 million worth of cap space from releasing those two guys, we should have somewhere slightly over $20 million worth of cap space. So let's see what happens. Remember, Andrew Norwell played for Carolina from 2014 to 2017. And he's definitely a starting caliber guard. And again, just like Matt Ioannidis, I'm surprised we couldn't get something for Ereck Flowers. Again, I feel like that $10 million per year cap hit that he is right now for 2022 is really good value for how productive he is. And then on top of that, I mean, he's just a starting left guard in the NFL. You can't trade that for anything. So, I mean, we must really be trying to hurry up, sprinting towards offering somebody something for us to just panic and release him immediately, because I definitely feel like you could have gotten something for him. I mean, you could have put Ioannidis and Ereck Flowers together as a package for some draft pick, something. I mean, not even a seventh. And then moving on to Landon Collins, this situation is really interesting because since he hadn't been released yet, we were starting to look like maybe we aren't actually releasing him. Maybe, after we clear up some cap space, maybe we'll just renege on the whole situation and just end up keeping him anyway. But it's been reported that it looks like Landon Collins will probably be a post-June 1st cut. Again, like I said in the intro, I'm going to explain what that means. So if we were to cut him today or anytime before June 1st, we would only save $6.86 million because he would still eat up some dead cap in our cap space. Even not being on our team, we would still technically be paying him. But if we wait till after June 1st, we would actually save almost $12 million from releasing Landon Collins. And that's a lot more cap space. That's literally almost double. But you got to remember, that's post June 1st. By then, most of the top free agents will already be gone. So that leaves me to think that if we're going to be that patient with waiting to cut Landon Collins till June 1st, and that means guys like Bobby Wagner and Andrew Norwell, AJ Johnson, all of these top free agents at several positions, Allen Robinson, all of these guys, they'll more than likely be gone by then. So I'm assuming they want to wait that long to clear up more cap space so that they can possibly extend Terry McLaurin. Or is that money directly going into the draft? Remember, the draft is going to eat up like $6 to $7 million worth of cap space. So you got to already have some money set aside for that. Is that going to a Deron Payne extension? I don't know. And then Adam Schefter, soon after all of that information was released, said that Landon Collins will be cut today, which means he won't be a June 1st cut, but I don't know. I've seen nobody else agree with that post, so maybe he will still be a post June 1st cut. And again, the reason to do that is to save more money at the end of the day. It doesn't help us right now. Landon Collins is still eating up our cap space right now as of today until he's cut, which will more than likely be after June 1st. And again, the whole panic situation, like releasing guys instead of just waiting to trade them away. Like if we really wanted cap space this bad, why did you bring over Carson Wentz for $28 million to eat up the majority of your cap space? You could have just went with a cheaper option at quarterback. You could have went in the draft. Like, I want Malik Willis. I want one of these top draft picks. I'm down to get any of these top quarterbacks, but of course Malik Willis is my preference. I still want him even after we brought in Carson Wentz, but I just feel like if you were this pressed in making sure you had a lot of cap space available, why did you give away 2/3 to get Carson Wentz, who's gonna eat up almost $30 million worth of cap space by himself? So I don't know, this is a little weird to me, but we'll see, man. I feel like we're gonna know a lot more about this team within the next 48 hours, maybe even sooner than that, maybe even by the time I release this video and I'm gonna look crazy. But remember, we're now losing Matt Ioannidis, losing Ereck Flowers, going to lose Landon Collins. We already lost Tim Settle. Hopefully we can at least get DeAndre Carter back. And speaking of wide receivers that need to come back, it looks like we are bringing Cam Sims back. Washington is in the works of signing back wide receiver Cam Sims. I think that's good because first of all, he's a good backup, but most importantly, he's a strong special teams contributor. And I feel like if we're going to bring him back, make sure you use him. It seems like almost every time we throw him out there, he's making spectacular catches. You could definitely argue he had the best catch out of any player on our team out of the entire season last season. And so if you're going to bring him back, please use him. Stop using them very sparingly. It's just a waste of time. Of course, bring him back for very cheap. There's no reason you should be paying big money to Cam Sims. But when you bring him back, please utilize him even outside of special teams. And he does seem like the type of guy that Carson Wentz would love to target. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a lot more touches in targets this upcoming season than he's ever gotten in his career. I could definitely see him doing that, but please do, like, actually go through and actually execute it, because there's no reason to keep bringing this guy back and not using him. And then to my point about creating cap space, some guys that are still available, of course you got the Bobby Wagner, the top dog at linebacker. You still have Tyrann Mathieu at safety, maybe, if you want to go that route, even though we already just re-signed Bobby McCain to a 2-year $11 million deal. Who knows? Doubt it. But that's an option. You still have Andrew Norwell, a very good quality starting guard in the NFL. And then also tight end Austin Hooper was released by the Browns. I kept begging people, I kept trying to tell people, do not give Austin Hooper big money when he was looking for a big contract in 2020. I was so happy when the Browns took him, just like I was really happy when Amari Cooper decided to decline our big offer to him and went to the Cowboys. I felt like we were going to overpay for Amari Cooper, and I definitely felt like we would have overpaid for Austin Hooper. I tried to tell people he's really not that good. He just had the benefit of playing alongside Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. Defense is completely worried about those guys, scheming to stop them. Austin Hooper wide open underneath for touchdowns all day. Did great in fantasy right before he hit the open market, right before he went to the Browns, but it was circumstantial. I'm glad we missed out on that. But hey, if Austin Hooper wants to come here for like a really, really cheap deal, I'll take it. Because I don't think he's sorry. I just don't think he was anywhere near worth that contract the Browns got him for. And now look at him cut. He's still only 27 years old. And remember, we did have interest in Austin Hooper, so maybe that's a move we make with all that cap space we clear. But again, we better not pay him big money. I don't want him for anything way higher than a vet minimum at this point. And then in very random news, they announced some of the NFL personnel in attendance at Georgia's Pro Day, and nobody from Washington was there, which I'm really surprised about, but I'm really happy to see my guys balling out. I mean, they're testing really well. They're killing the drills. You see my boy Quay Walker killing it. Jordan Davis, Trayvon Walker, man, they're out there doing their thing, man. So I'm really happy for my Georgia Bulldogs, but I'm really surprised that we don't have anybody there, because I mean, now we need defensive line depth. I'm sure that somebody from this organization really likes Nakobe Dean, so I don't know. Then again, our front office has said that they prefer to evaluate guys from afar. They don't feel the need to actually be there and see guys in person, which I prefer to go. But hey, man, as long as it works, it works. Also, very random news has been reported as the Washington Commanders search for a new home. Virginia, Maryland, and district politicians are signaling that they do not intend to engage in a bidding war against each other in order to land the next stadium. So everybody's kind of just sitting back like, hey, whoever wants it can get it. So Right now, Dan Snyder is struggling with this new stadium situation, but we have a few years to really figure out what's going on there. Nothing urgent right now, but I'm pretty sure Dan Snyder's probably panicking. I don't know what's going on, but I'm in the middle of editing the video, and apparently JD Mckissic has flipped his commitment from the Bills to return to the Washington Commanders for the same exact deal. Remember, it was 2 years, $7 million. And I mean, like, what's going on? Does JD Mckissic know something that we don't about the Bills? Like, what happened? Apparently, he just backed out of the deal. He basically pulled a Randy Gregory. Frank Gore did it, Anthony Barr did it, Randy Gregory, and now JD Mckissic have all done the same thing. I mean, it's crazy. Looked like he was definitely going to be a Bill. It looks like Tim Settle's definitely gone, but we got JD Mckissic back, so that should help us a little bit. We should be a little happy about that. Now, I still feel like the Ereck Flowers and Ioannidis releases for $17 million worth of cap space, that was not done to just get back JD Mckissic. None of that stuff relates. If JD Mckissic wanted to come back, he would have came back even before we released Ereck Flowers. So that does not get in the way. If we were targeting Bobby Wagner or any of those other top guys, bringing back JD Mckissic does not stop any of that. But it's also still really good news to have our best pass blocking running back on the roster. I mean, he contributes in so many different ways, like I've already said in several videos, but most notably, he's our best pass blocking running back. If you need a blitz picked up, he's your guy. And I'm pretty sure Carson Wentz, after losing his 2 starting guards, has to be at least a little happy to hear that JD Mckissic is back. So now, when whoever starts at guard for us, especially left guard specifically, maybe Sadiq Charles, but if they mess up and the defensive lineman gets through or a potential blitzer gets through, JD Mckissic is your best bet of picking that guy up, even better than Antonio Gibson or anybody else we have on roster in the running back group right now. And again, I'm pretty sure Tim Settle's still gone, but I mean, I don't know, like, did something happen? Is something going down in Buffalo that may change Tim Settle's mind as well? I don't know, but Tim Settle, it just wouldn't even make sense to bring him back. JD Mckissic, yeah, I wanted him back. Would love to keep Tim Settle, but the money he's making for the Bills and his expanded role, I highly doubt he turns back from that. JD Mckissic going from us to the Bills doesn't necessarily exactly change what role he has. And it clearly also doesn't change the money. It's the same exact deal. But Tim Settle is going to Buffalo for bigger and better things completely. Now, of course, you can definitely argue that the Bills are a far better Super Bowl contender than we are right now. So there's definitely that argument. But I feel like JD Mckissic just wanted to come back home. It was reported that he accepted the Bills offer before we could counter offer. We were waiting for the Bills to offer him something, and then we were just going to come back and offer more, possibly, I guess. But then he just apparently just accepted the Bills offer immediately. But now, instead of asking for more, he's coming back to us for the exact same money. I don't know. I'm confused. But hey, man, I'm happy to have him back for sure. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please like it if you liked it, if you learned anything. And of course, man, I appreciate all of the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors. Name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Again, definitely get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about the loss of Ereck Flowers, Ioannidis, potentially how we're handling the Landon Collins situation, and who we may be creating cap space for. But I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.